This is Pop Culture Period Piece Podcast. I'm Laura.
And I'm Julie. We are actors, costumers, movie, and book enthusiasts.
But we have very different tastes. So every week we pick a pop culture period piece to talk about.
Our thoughts about the movie and also anything the movie brings up.
Like how The Mummy is totally written through the female gaze and Santa Fe from Newsies is the ultimate I want song. Do you know what that is? Listen to us.
So if you like movies with corsets, manners, and cottagecore aesthetics, give us a listen.
Pop Culture Period Piece has a new episode dropping every Thursday. Goodbye.
Bye.
We shouldn't be here.
The only one who shouldn't be here is you.
These guys, they're not your friends, are they?
Will you shut up, all right? We are friends.
I mean, I'm sure you'd like them to be, but you don't have the uniform. You're not a dirt devil yet.
I will be.
Right. When you prove you're good enough. So prove it.
I will. Oh, Hey, Val.
Hey, Al.
Welcome to D-Commentary.
Thank you. Welcome to you and welcome to our listeners. Today, we're talking Johnny Kapahala back on board.
Woohoo.
Woohoo. A sequel 8 years in the making.
And who knew who was asking for it? But I'm not mad that we got it.
I'm not mad either.
Val, before you start, I have something to say. Do you remember the game that we played in Johnny Tsunami?
No, I have no recollection.
Well, it was really fun for me. So do you remember when we played a drinking game? I drank a lot of peach Bellini.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that.
So today's game is not at the end of the podcast. It is starting right now. And because, Val, you cannot drink.
That is true.
I'm going to drink for the both of us. And instead of peach Bellini, today we have 312 Eenie. I'm going to drink this 312.
Ooh, 312 is nice.
And every time we say Johnny or Johnny Tsunami, I will have to take a drink.
Wow,
And
what a game. What a game.
What a game. And I do have fun plans after this, so this will be a good pregame for me.
And I'll drink water just in solidarity.
Thank you so much, Val. Wish you could drink with me. But so far we've said it 3 times. I just said it. I'm about to say it a 4th, Johnny Tsunami. So I'm going to take 3 sips before we get started.
Okay.
Okay. Woo! That tastes nothing like peach Bellini, Val. But that's all I had in my fridge.
I like 312. I think it's a good beer.
I do too, when I'm ready for it.
When you're not waiting for peach Bellini.
Right. When I'm really yearning for peach Bellini. 312. Tastes nothing like it. All right. Now we can get started. Val, do your business, please.
Yes, to the business. Johnny Kapahala Back on Board came out June 8th, 2007. So as I mentioned, it came out 8 years after the original came out.
Sure did.
Which is wild. Like, I cannot believe that they just decided to do a sequel 8 years later.
I know. I'd love to know why.
Right. And the other really interesting thing about it is that everyone looks like they didn't age at all.
Everyone
in those
looks
8 years.
Absolutely incredible.
Like, I could not believe, like, I mean, Johnny barely looks like he aged and he went through puberty. And then, like, the parents, like, they look exactly the same as the first movie.
Yeah.
It's even Grandpa, like, looks great. So, yeah, it was, that was very impressive to me. And maybe that's why they were like, hey, it's been 8 years. Everyone looks the same. Let's just do it.
Yeah. All of your skincare routine is really working. Let's get you back on screen. And Brandon Baker in this movie, Johnny, and I want everyone to know every time one of us says it, I am taking a drink.
Yeah,
we'll
Allie
check back in at some.
Yeah. We'll see how she's
Make
doing.
Val do a cut of every time I do a drink. But he still looks exactly the same on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
He looks incredible. And I think in this movie, he's so dreamy. He is so good in this movie. He's so dreamy.
He's so much better because I think we talked in the first one about like his acting, at least in my opinion, left something to be desired.
Mm-hmm.
And this time around, I really was impressed by him. I thought he like really handled it well, which is interesting because he stopped acting in 2015. He's not an actor anymore.
Yeah. He is in a band, though, called The Cheeks.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm getting ahead of myself because we're not talking about the cast yet.
Okay.
This movie was directed by Eric Bross, who did not do any other DCOMs.
Okay.
But he is kind of, his whole IMDb is basically just TV movies. So that's his thing.
Cool.
It was written by a few people. The team Ann Austin and Douglas Sloan, who also wrote Johnny Tsunami, as well as Motocrossed. And then in addition to them, Max Ensko, who also wrote Return to Halloween Town.
Cool.
So pretty good team there.
Yeah.
And I think it was cool that they brought back the team that wrote the first two movies because those are kind of more traditional old school DCOMs.
Traditional old school DCOMs. And they brought back a lot of nuances from the first one that were super fun.
Totally. And so like, I felt like this really harkened back. Like I've never seen this before, but I felt like I was watching one of the DCOMs that I love and am really familiar with because it was so like of that same like style.
Era style.
Yeah. It was really cool. Including the fashion, which I would argue was not in line with what was going on in 2000s.
Oh, no, it for sure was.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering because like...
My freshman year of high school, for sure, I was wearing that shirt.
Okay. Maybe like Val's fashion. Yes, the main lead girl's name is Val.
Not Val Agnew.
Not to be confusing. But the boys were all still wearing like, you know, those like chimney pipe pants and like baggy cargo shorts.
Okay.
And I was like, I feel like by this point, the skater boys had started wearing like their sisters' jeans. Like they started wearing like really skinny like jeans and t-shirts. So maybe that was like a little bit
interesting.
Off,
yeah, fair point.
What do I know? I'm not a fashionista by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, we're all talking about it.
I know. It's fine. And I'm about to have a daughter who's probably going to spend my entire lifespan talking about it. Mom, why do you always wear flannels? Because they're comfortable.
Because I'm an improviser. God, my mom is improv.
Yeah, that's going to be poor girl. She's doomed. Her parents both do improv.
But they're funny. Yes, and.
All right. The cast is as follows. Brandon Baker, as already mentioned, reprised his role as Johnny Pono Kapahala. Cheers. As we've already discussed, he was in Johnny Tsunami.
Cheers.
He was on a show called One World. He did some other stuff, but as I just mentioned earlier, he stopped acting in 2015.
Cool. And he looks great. I mean, go to his Instagram. He's married now. He's been married for a year or two. And I mean, him and his wife are gorgeous. They're gorgeous human beings.
I'm going to have to stalk them.
Yeah, you should stalk them.
Jake T. Austin played Chris, a new character to the show. He went on to be a main character on Wizards of Waverly Place, which is where his Disney connection sort of, I guess it started with this movie and then he got cast.
Was this his first credit?
This was his first Disney credit.
Okay.
So like this came before Wizards of Waverly Place.
Yeah.
He also does some voice acting. Like he did a bunch of episodes of something called Go Diego Go.
Oh, yeah. That's the spinoff of Dora the Explorer.
Oh, okay. Cool. And he was more recently on the show The Fosters.
Yes, he was very big on that show. That Noah Centineo is also on that show, I believe.
I don't know who that is.
He's in the To All the Boys I Loved Before movies. He's like a new heartthrob of this generation.
Ah, okay, great. Good for him. Yeah, so that's Jake. I mean, he still acts, so like he's been in stuff more recently, but like the biggest things are the ones I mentioned. Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa played Grandpa, or Johnny Sr. He also reprised his role from the original Johnny Tsunami. He's a character actor and a voice actor, so he's been in tons of stuff over the course of his career. One thing that I remember him from was Man in the High Castle, which is something that
we
came
talked
out
about
on
that
Amazon.
show.
Yeah. We talked about it the last time we did this, when we did the first movie. But yeah, like that movie or that show came out on Amazon and he was like, he had a pretty big part in it and he was great. So yeah, but he's so iconic as Grandpa in these movies. I love him.
He's so good.
Robin Lively was new character Carla, Grandpa's new fiance.
Ooh.
And she, she's one of those people, I saw her picture on IMDb and I was like, oh, I know, I like recognize this person immediately. Mm-hmm. But she hasn't been like on a long stint on anything. She is just the most textbook character actor ever. Like she's literally been in one episode of every single show. So, and I thought she did great. Mary Page Keller reprised her role as Melanie Kapahala, Johnny's mom.
Someone who just did not age.
She looked incredible. She was obviously in the first movie as well. And she is also just a character actor. She's been in tons of stuff. Yuji Okamoto played Dad or Pete. He also was reprising his role. Also did not age at all.
No.
He more recently was on Cobra Kai.
Oh.
And he's also just a character actor. He's been in lots of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. Jonathan McDaniel played Sam. They recast Jet Jackson.
Uh-huh. And he made it down to Hawaii somehow. So I was a little confused.
They explained it at the beginning. So if you remember, he was an Army brat, right? So like they moved around all the time. And like right at the end of the movie, they were like going to be moving to Iceland or something. And there is a military base on Hawaii. So in Hawaii.
So he got moved there.
So they like justified it by saying he had moved there.
Had he passed away by that time?
I don't think so. No, like he passed away when we were like full-blown adults. Like it wasn't that long ago. Yeah. So I don't think that's why. I think that they just, maybe he wasn't interested or maybe he was busy because he was on, was it Rizzoli?
Oh yeah. He died in 2013 and this was 2007. So.
Yeah. It was well before that.
My God, he was 29.
Yeah, I know. He was young. Was he on Rizzoli and Isles? Was that what he was on?
He was on Rizzoli and Isles.
Yeah. So anyway, here's my opinion. I didn't think Jonathan McDaniel did anything wrong, but why did they feel the need to bring Sam into this? Like why they could have just created a different character to be the best friend.
Hey,
like,
it's Sam from high school.
Right.
Or from elementary school.
Right. From growing up. He had his two buddies
could
like
be a different...
in the first movie. It just made no sense to like, if they're going to recast him anyway, just make a new character. Like it felt very like forced.
Yeah.
But anyway, Jonathan McDaniel was in That's So Raven and Raven's Home. Those are his.
That's how I recognize him. He looked familiar. And I did like him. I thought he did a nice job.
He did a great job. He just wasn't Jet Jackson. So why, like, it just made no sense. Like the two took a very different approach to the character, which again is fine. Just don't make them the same character.
Yeah.
Then. It's been 8 years. Nobody's going to care if you recast.
No one cares.
Andrew James Allen played Jared, the bad boy. He's a character actor. He's just been in lots of stuff.
Cool.
Rose McIver played Val.
Yeah.
You might remember Rose. Prince. Yeah, right. You might remember Rose from Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off as far as DComs. But she she has had quite a career. Some of the standouts are Masters of Sex, A Christmas Prince, iZombie, and most recently Ghosts.
Yeah.
She's the lead on Ghosts, and Ghosts is apparently so popular they made a Ghosts England version.
No way.
Yeah, they're doing a reverse Office.
That's funny. Good for them.
Yeah,
I love her. I love her and her counter person who she has a show with. I don't know his last name, but his name is Utkarsh, and I know that because I watched Celebrity Jeopardy. He was on it.
Oh, nice.
So she was cast in this movie, Val, because it was filmed in New Zealand. They did not film this in Hawaii.
Well, yeah, I figured as much because the
tax breaks.
Oh, yeah. But the reason why I assumed that it was filmed in New Zealand was, well, a couple things. A lot of these people, again, were in like Power Rangers and stuff like that, which was always an indicator. But also, the guy who played the cop could barely disguise his accent. Oh, yeah,
for sure.
And I was like, oh, there it is. Now, Rose
did a great job in this movie.
Excellent American accent, like you would never have known. And she was, a teenager, which is very impressive because I personally have noticed that, like, while English people are really good typically at doing an American accent, Australia, New Zealand people struggle a lot more with it. And she is perfect, as a teenager, which is really impressive. Okay, then just a couple more. Phil Brown played Troy, the adult villain. He's a character and a voice actor. He's done tons of stuff, but most recently he was actually in Avatar: The Way of Water.
No way. Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah. And finally, Akoni Kama played himself. He is actually a professional skateboarder.
Cool. That's fun.
Yeah. So that's the cast. And then the synopsis is as follows. Johnny Kapahala is back in Hawaii, hoping to catch some surf and also attending the wedding of his grandfather, the legendary surfing hero. All he really wants to do is get on the mountain boarding team. What? Okay, this makes no sense. All he really wants to do is get on the mountain boarding team, but life quickly gets complicated for Johnny as he meets his 12-year-old uncle and gets involved. Wait, what the hell? Who wrote this?
Do you want me to look up Disney Plus One?
And gets involved in a turf war between rival boarding shops. Literally none of that is accurate. The first sentence is accurate, kind of.
Hold, please.
Who wrote this? It's
Where do you get these again, Val?
Literally the Google, like the thing on the right, you know, when you Google a movie and like a bunch of information comes up on the right, I just grab it and I try not to look at anything else because the like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff is over there.
All right. This is Disney Plus. Johnny Kapahala returns to Hawaii to attend his grandfather's wedding, but instead of catching a few waves while he's in town, Johnny's got his hands full keeping an eye on Uncle Chris, the 12-year-old son of his grandfather's fiance.
That's great. That is perfect. That is a perfect synopsis of this movie.
And a total spoiler about the uncle being 12 years old.
Yeah, but I mean, that's spoiled in like the first 5-10 minutes of the movie, so it's not that big of a deal. Okay. A couple quick fun facts, or actually one fun fact. Apparently, so at some point in the movie, Chris is playing a video game. Mm-hmm. Apparently, it was that same exact video game is featured in Stuck in the Suburbs and Life is Ruff.
Oh, wow. That's funny. What's the video game they say?
It doesn't say.
Oh, it's just like, this is the one we have on the TV.
Yeah. Whatever they're like pretending to play. I don't know.
Funny.
Yeah. Okay. That is the business.
Okay.
Al, first impressions of this flick.
Thanks, Val. I think that this movie was really well acted. I thought everyone was really having a fun time. I thought that it was really good. It felt like it was 40 years long. There were 3 different plots going on. They all needed side plots and B plots, and there was a lot going on where there were 16 minutes left in the movie. I thought the movie was over, and then I checked to see how much was left, and there were 16 minutes. So it was long. I also really like Jake T. Austin and his other things, but does he play a really good, annoying kid. I wanted to punt that kid across the island because this movie was so good, except for him. It got to a point at sometimes where I'm like, oh my God, like stop making him unbearable. I understand, and we'll all hear why he's unbearable, but like it made me like this movie less. I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
Okay.
It's not bad. I would watch it again, mostly because Brandon Baker is truly a dream to watch in this movie. I mean, he was so good. I wish he was still acting. I'm sure he doesn't like it anymore, but like he was really good in this movie. I really liked him. Val, first impressions.
Yeah, I also very much enjoyed this movie. I definitely agree that like they basically forced the ending that we got, which did make the movie longer. I didn't necessarily feel like the movie was long feeling throughout, but I definitely feel like they didn't need to tack on the ending that they did.
Yeah.
But I agree. The acting was great. I liked the story that they chose to tell and how Johnny played into it, how his parents played into it, how his grandpa played into it. Like it used all the same characters, but it acknowledged the new dynamic that they had after the first movie and showed realistically what would have happened 8 years of developing after that. Right.
Yeah.
And like it allowed Johnny to be like way more mature and like, but still be a teenager, and have his
mature
moments.
And responsible, but still with a sprinkle of hijinks.
Yeah. And like it even gave, grandpa a lot more to do, which was fun. And the parents got to be like, well, the dad got to be less insufferable. And the mom continued to get to be hot. And
hot mom, cool mom.
I'm a cool mom. And yeah, I thought that like the story, like the way that they constructed the story was really smart. I was really worried at first that the stepmom was going to be the villain. And I'm really, really grateful that she wasn't.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a slow burn kind of like who the real villain was, or like, is it just going to be kind of circumstance that gets them, you know, like what's really going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And it just felt like a classic DCOM, and it was really enjoyable to watch. Even though maybe it felt long to you, like I appreciated that they took time to have, there were a few like really serious adult conversations that I really appreciated. There was also like a really nice kind of montagey moment of them just sort of having fun together, which I really appreciated. So like, I'm glad that they included those things. So yeah, that's how I felt. I liked it.
Yeah.
Al, did you have any favorite quotes or moments?
Not many.
Fair.
I had 2 quotes. Carving rock is gnarly, dude. And it's wiki to the juvie judge. Those are my 2 favorite quotes. And my 2 favorite moments were the hair exchange between Johnny and Grandpa, where Grandpa was like, Johnny, you cut your hair. And he like cut his hair. And then Johnny was like, Grandpa, you cut your hair. And how many times did I just say Johnny? 3? I got to take smaller sips. I only have 1 can.
Uh-oh.
That's what happens when I drink 1 beer instead of 1 bottle of Bellini. And then my other favorite moments were they played a Plain White T's song and they played a Jonas Brothers song.
They did.
I mean, quintessential 2007. I literally like jaw dropped, Googled immediately like, this is Hold On by the Jonas Brothers, right?
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
Their voices are so distinct, especially when they were younger. I was like,
Joe sounds exactly the same.
Yeah. I had gotten up and I was like in the kitchen, so I wasn't as close to the TV. And I was like, these are the Jonas Brothers. Like I can hear it. I can barely hear the music and I can still tell that this is the Jonas Brothers. It was so funny.
Mm-hmm. Val, do you have any favorite quotes or moments?
I do, a few. I did not write a ton. So this line made my eyes literally roll into the back of my head.
Okay.
They bring the dirt and I supply the devil.
Yeah. Didn't love that.
I wrote, is among the stupidest lines I've ever heard. And like,
I hate that man.
There was a part of me that wondered if they wrote that intentionally, knowing how stupid it sounded, because they were trying to kind of like make this guy out to be kind of a tool. But it was hard to tell. It was hard to tell because it was like the first time you're meeting him. And the way he kind of played the character, which I appreciated, actually. He wasn't like very caricature-y. He was very like almost subtle. Yeah. And like quiet almost.
Going more Miranda Priestley than Leonardo DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like it was just very like subtle, which is not something you normally see in a decom in the villains. So it was hard to tell if this line was like in earnest or if it was just like, this guy is supposed to be an idiot. At one point, Chris says of the ukulele, man, I hate that runt guitar.
I didn't hear that. That's funny.
Oh, and then at one point, Sam goes, what? You can't ride in my whip? Which I just thought was funny. His line readings were really fun. Like, I
liked him a lot. He added a good element to the movie.
Yeah, for sure. He had a different energy, which was nice. This was a very wise line. I think Grandpa says this. He's of Chris. He says, sometimes he's going to need his mother, but now he needs to be part of something.
Wow.
Which I just thought was really sweet.
Yeah.
At one point, the dad says to the mom, how's that checklist, Mel? Very checked. And then again, this line was like stupid, but like it, when you think of it in the context of like a dad and grandpa kind of teasing their son and grandson, like it's sweet. So basically at one point, Johnny says someone needs to stay and be the muscle because like he's helping set up for an event. And the dad goes, don't rip your shirt, Rock. And then Johnny goes, very funny. Just so you know, it's the Rock.
Mhm.
And then Grandpa and Dad are like razzing him. It was just like a cute like family moment. Like it felt very like real. Like this is something that like actual human beings would say to each other because it's not that funny.
Right.
But it's not it's not necessarily supposed to be.
Mhm.
Oh, I loved this. So at one point, I can't remember if it was Sam or who said it about Val, but someone says she's really bossy. And then she goes, I am, but in a good way. And I was like, yes,
all the
bossy.
vowels, all the vowels.
Yep, we're all bossy in a good way.
Uh-huh.
And then at the end, which we'll get more into, at one point they say the quiet part out loud and go, how do we keep getting ourselves into this? Mm-hmm. Which I'll come back to when we spoil it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was like, great question.
That's funny.
That. Okay, that is all.
Yay! Val, are you ready?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on my board fully nude.
Fully nude. Val's not wearing any pants. She's reverse Donald Ducking. Wait, she's not Donald Ducking.
I'm not Donald Ducking. I'm not anything. I'm just me on a longboard.
This is me. Oh, we're coming up on that movie soon, Val. Can't wait. All right, welcome to Spoiler City, where our tops are off and we spoil the movie for you. Johnny, take a drink. Kapahala back on board. We open lights up on a narrator. Val, it's been 8 years, but baby, oh baby, did we not need this? Did not need, because you know what? He never came back. This narrator, Johnny, never came back. So we didn't need the 4 lines of intro. But he catches us up on where we've been since the last movie, that he moved to Vermont. And then now he's coming back for Grandpa's wedding. And he's like, I might have just stayed in Vermont if I knew. Which probably at the end of this movie is not true. So why? This makes no sense. Then we have a dream state. We're in a dream state. He's like following.
Which would have been the best cold open of a movie without the narration.
Yes, we did not need the narration. Just do the dream state, falling from the mountain of Vermont into surfing. So he's like falling on a surfboard. And then he wakes up, he's in a car, he's back in Hawaii. So we find out Grandpa's getting married. And so that's why they're back in town. Dad is like being weird about it a little bit because he's like, oh, I'm going to have a brother. And he's been an only child his whole life. So he's like, just like being kind of weird a little bit. And then mom's still just like, whatever you want. And then they're like, mom and dad are like, we're staying in the city, but we're going to drop you off with Sam to take you to Grandpa's house. So Val explained to us why Sam is there. And then they're driving the little car and they get stopped by like long boarders. So it's not so much like a skateboard. It looks more like a long board. That'll be important for later. Mm-hmm. He gets to his grandpa's house. His grandpa's not home. But then he goes to his old room. It says Pono's room. And there's a bunch of stuff in there. And he's like, this isn't my stuff. That's weird. So then he goes to the beach and he finds Grandpa giving surf lessons to a very angry child. If anyone could put 2 and 2 together, here it is. Then he's like, oh, Grandpa giving, lessons to tourists. And Grandpa was like, ha, 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 ha. So they go to dinner and they're at dinner and Carla's there. And we meet Carla and she is young. She is as young as the parents.
She is, in fact, 18 years younger than the actors are 18 years apart in real life.
Wow.
Continue.
And Grandpa can pull, okay? Because she's gorgeous.
She is. She's beautiful.
And then she's like, oh, Chris will be here in a second. And it's the 12-year-old who Grandpa was giving lessons to. And boy, oh boy, does Chris have a temper. I said, Chris is small child. Chris is mean. We find out that Carla's dad died and he left her a shop, like a surf shop in town. And so Grandpa's going to help her run it. And so that's how they met. She came back to Hawaii to run the shop. They met, then they're going to get married. And so Grandpa's like, yeah, I'm, an investor and I'm also going to like help run the shop. So that's kind of how we find out that. And then we find out Chris is, quote, friends, unquote, with the shop across the street, which is like the group of longboarders. And we find out that they are, dirt boarding.
So the difference between longboarding and dirt boarding is that they have like shoe holds on the boards for dirt boarding. and they don't for longboarding, but the boards are exactly the same.
Great. Whenever Val talks, I'm going to catch up on my Johnnies.
Yep.
So then he's not really friends with these people. But then I love, and I'll say it every time, helmets. They're all wearing helmets. They're all wearing arm pads and elbow pads. And I love it so much. And then we find out that Christmas Prince Ghosts is here. That's Val. She's a part of the Dirt Devils, which is the Romeo, Juliet, Montague, Capulet surf shops across the street. And I wrote, weird adult man gives shit about not liking surfing. So the man who's in charge of the Dirt Devils is a weird, like 39-year-old guy who wants to control these teenagers, and it is uncomfortable. But he's the same. He is the same height as Brandon Baker, and so Brandon Baker just takes this man down. Spoiler alert, we're in Spoiler City. Brandon Baker takes this man down. But throughout the entire movie, I hate this man. Then Troy, this guy, is the father of dirt boarding. So he's like in charge of it in the whole, this island, this area. He is the guy who runs dirt boarding. Then they're going to all go on a ride. And Uncle Chris, he's sad about it, that Johnny wants to come along. And Johnny goes, yeah, I need a board and a helmet and pads. And I love that they call out the safety. So then we have the conversation about them not being friends from our cold open. And he's not a dirt devil, but he will be. He's like, no, like, I just have to prove to them that I'm good enough. Because he's 12. And these, the other kids and the cronies are, 15, 16, 17, 18, around that age. And he's 12. So he's young and he looks small compared to everyone.
Tiny. Yeah,
he's tiny. So then Christmas Prince helps Johnny up and he says deja vu, which is a Kirsten Storms, Johnny Tsunami callback from the first one. And then Jared is the leader of the Dirt Devils. And he goes, to impress Troy, you got to impress me. And so then in order to impress me, you got to ride the toilet bowl. And then, which is just like this big sand pit. And the guys are mean. But before he can go in the toilet bowl, he gets arrested and Johnny takes the blame because Johnny rocks. Jesus, I need to stop saying his name. Oh my God.
Or just run out of beer.
Yeah, it's about to. Okay, so then Chris is like, stop calling me brah. You're not my family and I'm not your bro. And so Chris is just a mean little turd. He's so mean. But if we're going to talk about why he's mean, it's because he has certain feelings about his mom getting married. He has certain feelings about he's not my new dad. You're not my new family. He's having a really hard time processing this new marriage and this new family that he's got. So that's really why he's mean throughout this whole thing.
Right. And being uprooted from Philadelphia to move to Hawaii all of a sudden.
Yeah. So crazy pets. Grandpa asks
Johnny to help with Chris.
Thank you, Val. It's the 312. And just keep him out of trouble until Saturday because that's when the wedding is. Just keep him out of trouble. We'll get through the wedding and everything will be fine. Then Johnny, Chris, and Sam are all hanging out in the store. And then he runs into Grandpa and he's wearing a suit and he sees him doing business and he gets really introspective. And then we get like a Miley Cyrus. And so we're like, what's going on here? And then Mom and Dad show up and then they like kind of take over organizing the store. And then we're like, where's Chris? And then we found Chris. He's with the Dirt Devils across the street. Oh no. So now Johnny's like, I gotta get there. I'm 3 behind. Hold on, Val. Okay. So then Troy is taking them skating and Brandon Baker is what we're going to call him from now on, is talking to him. And Brandon Baker's like, dude, Troy, you're really creepy. And then Brandon Baker and Sam are going to skateboard at the shipyard. So they're at the shipyard now. And there's like kind of like a skateboarding. So now they're on skateboards. So they've gone from like dirt boards to skateboards because Val,
Chris got in trouble when they got arrested. Chris is no longer allowed to dirt board. So, but there's a loophole.
Skateboard.
Yeah.
And so Brandon Baker and Sam skateboard at the shipyard and they're really good and everyone's obsessed with them. But now Chris is even more pissed because now people like Brandon Baker. And so then he rips off his stuff and throws it on the ground and he huffs and puffs. And he's pissed. And then Chris, he's lost. He's lost. He's walking home alone. Kevin. And the most annoying, I literally wrote the most annoying 12-year-old. And then Chris yells at Johnny, basically that he's jealous of him. You have a perfect family and you have a perfect grandpa and you didn't get uprooted and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, actually I did. Then Brandon Baker flirts with the Christmas Prince and he's like, I'm going to teach you how to surf. And so then he did, and we get a montage. Mm-hmm. And you would think that that's like the halfway point of the movie. It's not. It's been like 26 minutes. This movie's so long. And then she like writes her phone number on his arm, which was cute. Then Chris is sad. And Brandon Baker is trying so hard. He's trying so hard. He's such a good guy in this movie. Watch this movie for Brandon Baker. So then Johnny tricks Chris into spending the day with him and Sam by like filming him listening to crazy music and freaking out. And he's like, we're going to show the Daredevils. He's like, okay, I'll spend the day with you. And then they get to Val's house and she is, quote, embarrassingly rich because her house is huge. She's like, it's embarrassing. And it's like, again,
someone who is down to earth and rich, which I appreciated because again, like that's a trope in these movies where the rich person is the villain or their dad is the villain. Yeah. And neither of those is the case in this particular situation.
And then they go ATVing, they go dirt boarding, and Chris is actually really good. So when they give him a chance, we find out that he's actually pretty good. We go back to the store. Parents are in the store, and Grandpa has a gift for Chris. And the gift is that Grandpa is going to start selling dirt boards at the surf shop. That statement is very important. So Troy is on the phone. The deal is off. And we're like, what's the deal? And there's no competition in town. So Troy at this moment does not know that Grandpa is going to be selling dirt boards, but he's like, something's going on. There's no competition or not competition to resolve central problem, but like competition in terms of like Jamba Juice and Smoothie King.
Right. Troy is like the seller or the person he was going to sell his shop to, just like, no.
Yeah. So then we meet Val's dad, and he's the businessman that Grandpa met with in the beginning. And he's also the dad from You Wish. So Hot Dad, Cool Dad.
That's right. I knew I recognized him from something.
Mm-hmm. And then Jared goes across to be like, oh, hey, where's Chris? And they're like, oh, this cute little guy from the Dirt Devils. And like, not cute. No, he steals the receipt. He steals the receipt of the thing. So then Jared knows that they're now going to sell. So Grandpa's surf shop across the street is the competition that like is the reason that he couldn't sell the Dirt Devils. Then Troy comes over to chat and he just straight up like threatens them and calls Chris a spy. Once again, this is why we hate this 39-year-old man. And Carla is like, everything is a lot. I'm going to take Chris and be alone. And then Grandpa's like sad because he's like, my girlfriend. And then Chris and Grandpa are gone. And where are they? And then they're like having a little chat. And then the Dirt Devils kicked off Val. They kicked her off. Sad, but not sad, for being friends with Brandon Baker. And Sam and Brandon Baker take her to the competition that's happening. There's like a competition happening. And then they find Chris, and then him and Jared, the Dirt Devil guy, they fight. And Troy says that he could be on the team. So Chris and Grandpa were gone because Grandpa took him to the competition because he's like trying to get on his good graces. And so Troy was like, you can be on the team if you tell your grandpa that he can't sell the boards. And so he's like, no. And then Jared says he can be on if boards hard area. He boards the hard. If he boards the like, this place is hard.
If he makes the jump, the big jump.
The big jump. There we go. Okay. Thanks, Val. Then they try to talk to Chris about how like the wedding is going to happen. Like, Chris, whether you like it or not, we're getting married. And then they have the rehearsal dinner, which is insane because the rehearsal dinner is the same day as the grand opening of the shop.
Wedding is the same what I meant.
Day. Yeah. So they have the rehearsal dinner, and then tomorrow's the grand opening and the wedding. And then Chris also has the boarding of the hard area today. So literally, this is too much in one weekend, she says, the woman who has too much in one day every day. So then they get the task of like, hey, because we need to have this for like the rehearsal, well, you need to go into town and like get ice and cups and things. So then Chris is like, how do I get out of helping and go to this boarding the hard area? And so he goes with Johnny. And then he's like, hey, I gotta piss. And so he goes into the bathroom and then he's like, okay, go piss, girl. And then he jumps out of the window and escapes. And so Johnny's like, ah! Because he sees him like running across the window. So he grabs the board, leaves. Johnny sees him. He also stabbed his tire. That's good thinking on Chris, honestly. Like, I know. Bad Chris, that's but diabolical. Good Chris. That is, cuckoo crazy. But then he's like, hey, Val, can you bring me to the hard area? Because I know what's going on. So then Chris does the jump. But guess what he does, Val? He breaks his arm. Yeah, you were right. The police show up after and they were all sad. And so like the kind of right now, like the wedding is kind of off. And so
not quite yet.
Not yet, but we're kind of like getting there.
But the rehearsal dinner is ruined.
Yeah.
Because they had to take Chris to the hospital.
Rehearsal dinner is off because Chris broke his arm. And then the police show up. Why? Not for Chris, but you guys, the shack was completely ruined. Grandpa's shack. The surf shack of destroyed. And who do we know did it? So then Troy tries to show empathy, but it's like gross. And you can like hear that he was like kind of the problem. And he tells Chris, he's like, hey man, I got a jersey for you because like you don't like have any boards anymore. And the whole family was like, no. Then Carla's like, I'm so sorry, Grandpa. Carla's not, she's like, Grandpa, she's like, I'm so sorry, fiance.
They also, real quick. They also find Jared in the alley with the stolen stuff. So it's like immediately apparent that Jared was the one who broke into the store and trashed it.
Yeah.
It makes it that much harder to believe that Troy didn't have anything to do with it because Jared was the one who broke into the store.
For sure.
Yeah.
Then Carla's just like, I can't do this anymore. Like we can't get married tomorrow. I'm breaking up with you. I'm taking Chris back to Philly. He's just over. And they have this is one of the adult conversations Val was talking about because it was very much like, I love you so much, but I love my son and I need to do what's best for him. And this entire conversation Chris was overhearing. So this kind of really hits him where he's like, oh, maybe I should be a better person for my mom. And then he talks to Grandpa by the water and they have like a heart to heart too. And the resilience of Grandpa is amazing in this movie. But then like, no one's really, he's not really listening to anyone. He's still like acting out. And the only person that he'll listen to is Val.
Because he has a crush on her.
Yeah, he's got a crush on her. And so they get her in there and she's like, you're being a little dumb. And he's like, wait, the girl I have a crush on? Don't call me dumb. Chris says he wants to fix everything. They go to the store and then him and Johnny fix everything up. Chris says he doesn't want to move and he calls them his friends and he's really apologetic. And he's like, I was just going through some stuff. I'm just don't like change. This is the way I'm acting out. And then this is not the end of the movie. We still have 16 minutes left.
This should have been the end of the movie.
Which should have been the end of the movie. But Troy's deal fell through and he wanted to make condos. He wanted to sell the Dirt Devil's shack to make condos. But Val's dad, the businessman, said, no, I'm not going to buy your building anymore. And so now he's pissed. And then Troy threatens Grandpa and Johnny's like, whoa, competition to resolve central problem. If you win, Troy, if Troy wins, then we'll stop selling boards at our shack. But if I, Johnny Tsunami, win, then we can both sell whatever we want at our shacks. So then behind everyone's back, Grandpa had designed a dirtboarding track with Val's dad. So he had like invested in this thing for Johnny and Chris, which just goes to show that Johnny's grandpa is the best person ever. They do the race. At the very end, Troy like skids Johnny off the course. Then Troy skids in his last trick because to win, you have to go down the track and do 3 tricks. So Troy skids in his last trick. Johnny ends up winning. Troy gets arrested because Jared confessed that he was part of the thing and said, nope, Troy did it too. The cronies end up becoming friends with everyone. One of them's name is Rooster. I didn't think that was important. They get married and then they surf.
Amazing, Al.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Val. It was fun. It's just too long. I mean, I liked it, but boy, oh boy.
The race was unnecessary. They forced the race and they literally said that line of like, how do we get ourselves into this all the time? Family tradition. It's like, okay, is it a family tradition? This is silly.
Or are you guys just bad at managing yourselves? All right. Well, I've already finished my game. of drinking 1312 Bellini. So let's get into Bingoini, Val.
All right, Bingoini. One hit wonder song. No.
Yeah, because the Plain White T's and the Jojo Brothers are not one hit wonders.
Nope. True.
True. Breaking the fourth wall or looking into the camera.
Nope.
Not that I noticed. And I watched this whole movie.
Holiday themed. No.
Wedding. Clunky metaphor.
I mean, you know, the whole like doing like, I don't know. I feel like that whenever there's sports involved, that is the metaphor. Like,
yeah,
you know, either learning how to do it or participating in it or being kept out of it or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we marking it?
I feel like I just did a really bad job at actually coming up with anything. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. Okay.
Parents who just don't get it. No.
Not today.
This time. A lot of cool parents in this one.
Yeah. But do we have any cool non-parent adults now?
Oh, do we? Grandpa.
And you know why we count that, everyone? Because he's not our pro tag's parent.
That's right. And honestly, Carla's pretty cool too.
Oh, true.
And as it turns out, Val's dad is pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Someone too famous for a TV movie. No.
Competition to resolve central problem.
Yes,
they
yes,
are
yes,
sweet
yes,
ass.
yes. A montage sequence. Yes.
A few.
Mm-hmm.
A good many few. Cliche villains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The shop.
A
owner.
good many few.
And the teen boy. Both of them.
Teen boy and our 12-year-old Chris.
He's not a villain.
He's a villain in my eyes. JT Austin, you've got it coming.
Clothes or items you owned.
I'm 80% sure I had one of the shirts that Rose wore.
All right. We're counting
The
it.
blue with the orange and the pink and the big white stripe. I'm like
Nice.
pretty sure that my sister and I shared that shirt.
I didn't own anything, but my high school boyfriend longboarded and dressed very similarly to
Cool.
the way that they dress in this movie.
Love that.
Yeah. He was also a snowboarder as well.
Cool. Okay,
Mhm.
hot. For Rotten Tomatoes, 40 to 60.
I wonder if people watched this, because if they did, they'd probably rate it highly, but I just don't know how many people really watch this one. So I'm going to say 57.
Wrong. 67.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's good. I'm
Yeah.
happy with that.
Yeah.
Happily ever after. Yes.
Yes. We don't get
Grandpa
another
and-
one, so they're all still living very happy.
And Grandpa and Johnny surfing in the sunset.
Yep. Almost kissing.
There was a charged hug.
That and Grandpa and Carla do kiss a lot.
They do kiss
And
a lot.
You have to almost kiss in order to real kiss.
Fine. We can got it.
Yes.
Also, they make a point of like Brandon Baker at one point is like, she's not my girlfriend. She's my friend. And I'm like, why did we feel like we had to do that?
Yeah. Just say friends.
Well, and just also like, who cares? Like, why are we not supposed to have a love interest?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just like a weird situation. I'm like, you're 17. You don't need to be justifying your likes or dislikes to a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Anyway, someone who became famous.
Christmas
Rose.
Prince.
Yep. Rose McIver.
Rose McIver. She's from New Zealand. Betraying of one's real friends or values.
Chris kind of does, but Johnny definitely doesn't.
Yeah. Well, we're counting Chris. I'm counting Chris.
Okay. Your childhood crush.
Brendan Baker Rooney.
Yeah, he was cute.
He's a cutie. Obviously bad special effects or stunts.
Oh boy, we had the this is a grown white man standing in for Brandon Baker.
Yeah, that's
situation.
True. Yeah. Shout out to the grown white man.
Disney Channel star.
Brandon Baker.
Yeah, and
Jake T. Austin.
Jake T. Austin went on to be a Disney Channel star.
He sure did.
And what's his face was on That's So Raven and Raven's Home.
Yeah. I think
The guy
his
who
name's
played
like
Sam?
Lil J or something.
Yeah, that's his
Stage
name.
name.
But like his actual
It's like
name
Justin.
is Jonathan McDaniel.
That was close.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Musical number.
No.
No, I wish.
Magic. No.
No, I wish. Someone says the title of the movie.
No.
No, they don't say Back on Board.
No.
No.
Scooby Dude. Not really. No, not really. There's nothing to Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
And honestly, Grandpa kind of figures it
yeah.
out. I mean, Val kind of does because she tells her dad what's going on, but the adults really figure it out.
Yeah. The heroes create the problem.
No.
No.
Lead is a fish out of water.
Chris.
Is he though? Because he's already better at dirt boarding.
That's true.
I don't think really anyone is a fish out of water in this.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Val, 0. Which means, for those reasons, I'm out. Thanks to 312 for sponsoring today's game. Goose Island. I liked this movie. I'd watch it again, maybe in like 3 years.
Yeah, it was good. It was a really good one.
Yeah,
for sure.
Val, what are we watching next?
We, believe it or not, are watching High School Musical 2 next.
Val, I'm so excited for this movie.
I'm excited too.
It's so good.
I have only seen High School Musical 2 one time, and I do not remember anything.
Wow.
Except I've also seen one musical production at my camp of High School Musical 2.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
I guess I've technically seen it twice.
Oh, that's funny. I'm excited.
Me too.
Yeah. Subscribe, be a friend. All right, Val, I love you very much.
I love you very much.
Bye, Val.
Bye, Al. This podcast was produced by me.
And me.
And it was edited by me.
The music was composed by Michael McNally.
You can find us online at thetridentnetwork.com/dcommentaries-pod.
And you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at dcommentaries.
D-Commentaries is a part of the Trident Network. To learn more about our videos, live shows, and other podcasts, please visit thetridentnetwork.com.
Disney Channel original movies.
Damn it, Allie.